Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class. We're talking about focus today. Focus. Between now and the end of the year is going to be so important. So important. You got to put your blinders up and you got to keep your head in the game through the end of this year, but know that what you do now shows up next year. There's a reason why every November and December I start talking about the seeds you plant in Q4 show up in Q1 of next year. Otherwise, people just kind of get lost in the sauce between all the holidays. And so who else, I think it's just known in the industry of, the online space that it's separation season when that happens. But even more so, and not to scare you about the economy, but you're going to just see more people drop off from the online space, which is a good thing, right? You're going to have a little less competition, a little less noise. And I think the real experts are really going to be the ones that ride the wave. And it will be a wave. We're already in it in many ways, many capacities. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. And I feel like we covered a lot of that in the past couple of episodes. But what I want to talk today about is focus and getting so clear on your vision energetically and somatically that you are available for nothing less than everything you want. Like you have to be so focused because there's going to be a lot of people trying things and there's going to be a lot more just noise in general with the media and the online space. So, how do we do this? I like to think about things in terms of a visual. So if you're going to get a pen and paper out right now, we're going to do this together. We're going to implement this together. And I want you to write out one goal that you have between now and the end of Q4. So by December 31st, 2024, I have achieved blank. I have manifested X. I have accomplished Z, whatever the thing is. So go ahead, you're going to hit pause and you're going to write down that thing. Now, be realistic. It's not going to be like, I wrote a series of 5 books, like the author of Harry Potter. I mean, that's a lot. So one small goal. It might be to pay off business debt. It might be to get a promotion. It might be to launch a new program, for example. Those are all, I believe, very realistic examples of a singular goal that you could accomplish very easily by the end of the year and do it well. So write that down. That is your new vantage point. So I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine now that you're looking at a dot. And the dot can have a color. It's circular. It's a sphere. Maybe it has a smell, a glow. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has a texture or not. It definitely has a distinct shape. It could be a small dot. It could be a big dot. But it's out in the distance. That's your vantage point. That's your vision. That's the one thing that you're going to run everything through. This is now your vantage point filter, right? So if it's not toward that, then it's not that at all. If it's not toward that, then it's not that at all. If you were to imagine yourself standing very far away from this dot, because that's like where you're headed, where you're going, it's like out there on the horizon. And imagine that there's like a clear path that you're walking to get there. Maybe you're like, you ever play Mario Kart? I'm envisioning like the rainbow, the rainbow racetrack. Or maybe it's like, again, if you're more illustrative, you're thinking about 2 lines, or maybe it's like rocks or it's some sort of nature trail. It doesn't matter. You're on a trail, you're on a path, And there's a very clear distinction between the path you're on and then the off-path terrain, right? In Mario Kart, you fall off the track and you're like in the abyss and you're like, Princess Peach is like, oh no. Or if you're on a walking path, it's a very clear, well-treaded path. But then off-path is maybe all woods and crazy jungle greens and stuff like that. Your path, it looks however, but there is a clear distinction between the path you're on and walking toward this singular vantage point, and then there's everything else outside of that. Clearly off path. Like you'd have to beat bushes down, or you'd have to fall off into the abyss of Mario Kart to go off path, right? Very clear distinction. And this is important because as you decide, because to decide means to cut away all other options, as you decide that this is your new vantage point and this is where you're headed, you're going to be, I don't want to use the word tested, but you're going to be offered some potential detours. Oh, here's this, bush of berries off the path. Maybe if you just take a quick detour and grab some berries, then you can just get back on the path. But you've chosen a detour, right? You've chosen to look away from the one thing you're supposed to be focused on, which is this new vantage point, the vision. Or maybe it's, there's a different path off the rainbow trail on Mario Kart, and it looks like a shortcut, but it's actually like a different job opportunity. So you thought you knew, your career, what you wanted, but now you're being offered this side tangent. So it presents the question that as you're offered these different opportunities, whether or not they're off path or on path. Now I'm giving some very clear examples visually that are off path, but what if you don't know? And this is what comes up where you're like, is this sabotage or is this intuition for me to not take this opportunity? Well, you get to ask your body, is this opportunity or offering, is this getting me closer or further from that singular vantage point? Does this feel like a next step toward that? Or does this feel like a detour away from that? And that's a really clear indicator as far as whether or not it is outside your alignment field, off your path. Okay? If it's outside your alignment field, off your path, you could take it. It might still be really great, but it's going to take you further away and longer to get back to the vision that you say you want. But what happens if this potential opportunity and offer is on path and within the alignment field? Well, then it's just a next step. And guess what? That vantage point, that singular sphere, gets closer. It gets closer. It comes into focus more. You can see it better. You can smell it. You can imagine touching it, right? It gets closer because now you're another step toward it. So you could take the detour and it might work out fine. Or if it does actually work and it's in the alignment field and gets you closer, then take that opportunity and offering. It'll get you closer. Now, here's the thing about manifesting. And here's the thing about being so specific on your energetic choice, because certainty has a frequency. Certainty has a frequency so specific that it's like a radio dial to a radio station. I had a previous mentor liken choosing your reality in this way, and it's forever stuck with me, and I think it's brilliant. And it's that it's true that there are alternate realities going on at all times in all different timelines simultaneously. For example, is it true that there are multiple radio stations streaming simultaneously? There's classical music, there's pop music, there's a talk show, there's hip hop, there's something else. There's all sorts of stuff streaming at the exact same time. But you can't hear them all at the same time. And the only way you can tune into one of those stations and hear it clearly is if you choose the dial to that specific station down to the 0.01 decimal or the 0.1. It has to be that specific. So certainty has a frequency. What happens if you're between two stations? Bunch of static. You don't want static. Static means you're kind of sort of choosing, which means you kind of sort of get results. The universe cannot reward you when you're uncertain. when you're in kind of this flippant mode, when you're not really sure, you're kind of hesitating, right? That's the opposite of certainty. So certainty has a frequency. And in fact, certainty is the number one thing that sells. Did you know that? This message sponsored by Po Hung Yu. Have you ever thought about microdosing before? Maybe you've even seen documentaries like Fantastic Fungi or How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. By the way, I have a funny story about the Fantastic Fungi, but you're going to have to ask me offline. Or maybe you've heard about the extensive research happening in the best universities and the evidence showing how mushrooms are game-changing for those with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even PTSD. So many female leaders and moms have jumped on the microdosing bandwagon to help them better manage modern-day stress. I want to introduce you to our new brand partner, Po Hung Yu. She's a self-mastery mentor, microdosing guide, and a former acupuncturist. And as a successful woman like me, like you, imagine a life where your brain and your nervous system can just relax. That's exactly what happens when you microdose and you're guided by an experienced facilitator. So you can actually be present and enjoy your life minus the anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. The best part is you don't feel high, there's no psychedelic effect, and no one will know. You can still work, be with your kids, drive, exercise, and live your normal day-to-day life. But you'll still receive all of the amazing benefits of mushrooms, like increasing neuroplasticity, flow, creativity, focus, and even your connection and intimacy with your loved ones. Not only will you receive a 15-minute consult where Po will tell you exactly how this process works so you can decide if it's a fit for you, but you'll also get a bonus of $500 off and a complimentary root cause assessment call worth over $800 when you decide to work with Po. Click the link below in the show notes to get started today. So, when we are certain and we decide and we choose this path, we have to stay the course no matter what our eyes see. And this is where faith comes in. And I've literally built things out of nothing from a vision alone in my brain. And I treat it as truth. And if the thing that comes into my reality next doesn't get me closer to it, it's a no. This includes team hires. This includes program offerings. This includes clients that we say yes to or that we pursue or that we entertain. This includes romantic partnerships. This includes different goals. Like something recently that I've really been doing is I'm not saying yes anymore to all these podcast interviews. I've been on almost 60 or more podcasts. I think I've asked to be on like one or two. They all find me, they ask me to be on their podcast, and almost always, there's only been like a handful I've said no to. Almost always I've been on them. And they're great. Like some of them have turned into amazing clients and opportunities, or other just relationships and connections, and it's a beautiful networking tool. However, in this current season, my no there is a stronger yes toward where I'm going because I know exactly what I want now. I know exactly where I'm headed because certainty has a frequency. And I could take a detour and I could fill my calendar with some random podcast. I'm just not in that season right now. Maybe at another point in time. I'm in a building season and we're creating some new things. And I'm very specific about the world that I'm creating and the experience that I want to have and the people that I want to serve. So that looks like me being extremely focused because I know the more focused I am, the faster I get what I want. I want you to hear that again and write it down somewhere. Put it in permanent marker, put it on a sticky note, put it on your mirror. I don't care. The more focused you are, the faster you get what you want. Because you're not screwing around entertaining everything. Let's take dating. I love taking dating as an example for like basically everything. Because everything's a relationship and how we're relating to it, right? So let's take dating. You meet a guy and he, or a girl, whatever blows your hair back. You meet someone and they like fit most of the boxes. But there's like this one thing that you just kind of know. You're like, I kind of feel like I'm like micro betraying myself. And I feel like I'm compromising, rationalizing, and negotiating with myself to convince myself that like it might work. They might grow on me. I don't know if I have to have that. So by the way, that's a great way to know if something is off your path. If you're trying to convince yourself, rationalize, right? Negotiate with yourself or settle. Oh, yeah, you'll feel that in your body. Settling does not feel good. It's like, ugh. Oh, it's like a heavy gut feeling in your body. Pay attention to that. Your body is trying to tell you something. Anyway, so you have this guy and you're like committed and in a relationship and you're like, I don't know, it's like good enough. I mean, at least I'm with somebody. Maybe this is like fine. But then there's this guy, this other person that wants to come into your life, but they energetically can't, or you're not even open to seeing them because you're currently energetically bound and connected and committed to this other person, which makes sense if you're in a partnership that's committed. You're not available for other people. So that can't come in. That you can't receive the person you're really supposed to be with because in the meantime, you've got a bench warmer. You've got something that's like good enough, but not great. You've got something that like kind of looks like the relationship you want, but it's not the vision you had in mind. So somewhere along the way, you took a detour off the path and you just said, I don't know if I'm going to get what I want. So I think I'll just stop over here in the bushes and take a little side path. And then some people take detours for years. Whether it be a team hire, a relationship, etc. And that's okay. I still think you will never miss what's meant for you. You'll never miss what's meant for you. It'll always come back around. I had a client, in fact, that had a job opportunity and she was like, oh my gosh, this is like a dream opportunity. Keri, like you and I have been working on manifesting something like this and I just can't believe it's here. But now I'm going to have like my second kid and we just moved into our dream house and all this is happening so fast. Remember I said the more you focus, the faster you get what you want? Don't be surprised when it lands on your front door. So she gets this dream opportunity. She tells them no because she goes, the timing just isn't right. And she needed to take a detour. That just felt good to her at the time and that's okay. So she did. I think they hired somebody else in the meantime. That person didn't work out and they came back to her like a year or two later and she ended up getting a job there. It exponentially expanded her income. It exploded her career. It became the launch pad for her next promotion that she just took, which nearly doubled her income with all sorts of bells and whistles. I mean, it's amazing how fast you can have what you want. And that's in less than I want to say 4 years that she was able to create all that. So it skyrocketed her success once she was able to receive it. But she had some other things that she wanted to do. And that was, again, totally fine. Totally fine. But she couldn't miss what was meant for her is my point. This dream job ended up coming back. They were like, yeah, we hired a bench warmer. They settled. They negotiated. They had a vision in mind. And their vision was this person, like my client that they wanted to hire. So they couldn't get her out of their brain. And they came back and they offered her the job and she took it. And she's like, now I'm ready. So it will come back around when you're ready to receive it or when you're available, when you're certain and you sit in that frequency. So you have to be available for nothing else. And at first it's going to be really hard because I will tell you most people don't have the discipline to be that focused. They doubt themselves, they get distracted easily, and they veer off path quickly. Their fear takes over and is louder than their faith. And they don't believe that their vision can happen, maybe that they're worthy of it, that it's going to happen fast, XYZ. Like, it will happen if you believe it will. Going back to certainty has a frequency. So you have to just be available for nothing less. And obviously, when you do the somatic work and the nervous system, strategies and regulation, you can clear a lot of things faster too, like healing worthiness wounds, like learning how to feel safe with surrender, learning how to trust yourself more, learning how to decipher between what intuition and what sabotage feel like in your body and look like in your behavior. And I can help you with all that inside the Apex Academy. So if you're not in there, you need to get in there. You will have fast results in your business, in your life, because you suddenly have tools and access points that you weren't taught. No one was taught this. I didn't even know this work existed. I wish I did. I think about how much further I'd be if I knew it. But it's kind of like you suddenly get a key for a hidden door that you didn't know how to access before. So if you're ready to do that kind of work, we'll put the link in the show notes. You got to get in the room. 6 months or 12 months will change your life. And we'll teach you how to focus and manifest the vision that you see is possible for you, but for some reason you kind of keep getting in your own way, or you keep hopping off the path or driving off the rainbow, the rainbow cart, or for Mario Kart, right? Or you go pick berries in the fucking bushes. So let me help you get there faster and learn how to focus and harness the beautiful gift that is you. Because I believe that the vision in your mind is absolutely planted there because you get to have it. It wouldn't be there if you weren't supposed to have it, if it wasn't yours already. And I've reverse engineered a lot of amazing things from that very space with little to no proof in my current reality. And that's where the faith part really plays a huge role. So, I will see you on the next episode. Let's focus. Let's focus. Keep it first class. I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon. Seriously, though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.